All right, here we go. Testosterone Truth 2.0. I got my black book here. I got the brain prop. I'm going to show you different cool things in the brain. Now look, I've told you guys so many times that neuroscience is my first love, especially the neuroscience of brain transformation. Well, this right here is my second love, testosterone. This goes back to 2013, okay? Let me tell you a little story, how crazy this shit is. By the way, I've been studying testosterone for 12 years. Since 2013 to now. By the way, same thing with this black book. I started writing in this in 2013. If you haven't watched my previous videos, go watch them. I reveal what's in this black book, and I'll tell you a little bit more today about that. But just to start off in this masterclass today about testosterone, I'm going to reveal to you knowledge about testosterone that nobody knows because nobody has read the recent papers. When I did Testosterone 1.0, this was in 2018, I was in Stockholm, and I recorded these 10 videos, the testosterone truths. From 2018 till now, in the last 7 years, we've learned so much more about testosterone. Now, you may believe that testosterone is all this shit, right? Big cum loads or boners, like whatever you think testosterone is. For the next little while in this video, throw all that information out. Because what the bros have told you, what the gurus have told you and yelled at you for many, many years, most of it's wrong. And today, for the first time ever, you will learn, what does testosterone do to the brain? When I started reading about testosterone back in 2013, I still remember I had low testosterone. My testosterone was 376 nanograms per deciliter. That's the testosterone of an 82-year-old man. I had erectile dysfunction. I was addicted to porn. I was a virgin at the age of 31. I had just finished my PhD. And I went to get my testosterone checked because I said, what is the cause of me not being confident with women? What is the cause of my low libido, my low energy? I'm amazing at academics. I'm amazing at being book smart. But in social situations, like with women, and standing up for myself and facing challenges, why do I suck so much? So from my PhD, I knew about hormones, how hormones work in the brain. And I said, you know what? Let me get my testosterone checked. So I got it checked and it was very, very low. So I went on this journey. And for those of you who've been watching me for many years, you know that I started off as Doc Testosterone. And I'm going to tell you all that stuff and what happened in that journey and my entire insane transformation of testosterone. I'm going to tell you that in this video too. You're going to learn a lot of shit today. The brain circuitry of how testosterone works, what happens in childhood, what happens to most men who stay low testosterone, who don't get everything they want in life. So in the previous 4 videos on YouTube, I've talked about brain rewiring. This is my favorite topic in the world. I love this topic. This is my first love. But in 2013, when I had low testosterone, I kind of threw all that away. I stopped wearing my lab coat. I started hating academia. I started hating my professors. And I worked with Harvard PhDs, Harvard professors, MIT professors, even the Nobel Prize winner, David Hubel, he was my mentor. I threw all of that in the garbage. I almost started attacking it because I thought that my entire PhD, all of my striving for getting good grades is the cause of my low testosterone. They fucked me over. Religion fucked me over. The government fucked me over. Big pharma fucked me over. My parents fucked me over. Food corporations. I was blaming everyone in the world. And I'm going to get to that today in one of the slides. We go deep into what is the real deepest cause of low testosterone. Okay? Now, this video is not just for men. It's also for women because Testosterone is extremely important for women as well. So please watch and learn. Now, I draw my black book here, okay? Now, why do I do that? This black book has been with me for 12 years. Basically, every secret that I've learned, I've written in this black book. And I go back to this black book to look up the protocols that I used to build businesses, million-dollar businesses, travel the world. I retired my parents a few years ago. And I started with a lot of debt. And I've recorded all of those videos in the past, so go watch those masterclasses. Even the Testosterone 1.0, right? This was in 2018, in the summer, or right before the summer. I was in Stockholm, and I recorded these 10 testosterone truths. Now, at that time, Doc Farhan was Doc Testosterone, and he was in a very different phase of life. So the cool thing about today's masterclass is no matter what phase you're in, you could be starting off with low T. You could be someone who doesn't even know how to talk to girls. You could be someone who can't grow muscle, who is obese. You could be someone who's actually fit and looks amazing and may even have high libido, but sucks in the bedroom. Or someone who's amazing in the bedroom, but doesn't feel confident in himself or is broke. Whatever stage you are on in your life, and soon I'm going to be talking about the masculinity cycle, which will really make you understand where you are in your life right now and where you fit in to the Testosterone Truth 2.0. So I'm extremely excited. I can't tell you how excited I am. I've been wanting to do this masterclass for years because there's so much knowledge that we've uncovered in terms of what testosterone does to the brain, the child's brain, the adolescent brain, the adult brain, the old man brain. And I'm going to bring all of that to you today. So back to the black book. I want you to get one of these. I've talked about this over and over. This literally saved my life, man. Because all the protocols that I've written in here, and I've also written testosterone protocols in here, and that's what I'm going to tell you about today. Everything is, when you go through life and you get insights from people, you need to be writing it down. And I learned this from my mentor, the Nobel Prize winner, David Hubel, because he would also write like a crazy man. Oh my God, this guy was crazy. I think maybe I'm even crazier in terms of writing, but you need to write these notes down so they sink into your brain. That's what changed my life. So get your ass a black book, okay? Now, let's go into this. Protocol. A lot of you have been commenting on my videos recently that you want to get a protocol, right? Because I've told you how to rewire the brain, what happens in the brain, but you need techniques, you need strategies, you need actionable tools. So I'm going to try my best to give you that today. It's not easy for me to give you actual strategies because you don't have the knowledge yet. And in the past with my one-on-one clients, anytime I've given him actionable items, they don't do it. But when they understand why, exactly what's going on in the brain, then it becomes easy for them. So think about what you think testosterone is, right? Is it growing big muscle? Is it aggression? By the way, this right here, I'm going to shatter this myth right away. Testosterone does not make you more aggressive. This is a lie. Now, the reason this is a lie is because in the past, even when I was doing Testosterone 1.0, there was this theory in the field because of rat studies that increasing testosterone and boosting testosterone makes you more aggressive because that's actually what happens in rats. However, in humans, this is not the case. So testosterone does not make you more aggressive. This is a lie. Masculinity, this is a big topic nowadays. I see lots of gurus on YouTube and Instagram and other platforms talking very loudly about testosterone. They're yelling their ass off about testosterone and how it relates to masculinity, how they know what masculinity is. Now, unfortunately, I've learned that these gurus are wrong. And one of the biggest reasons these gurus are wrong, the proof that these gurus are wrong, and I'm going to get to that today, the real reason, and I'm going to prove it to you with neuroscience. Okay? Now let's talk a little bit about this circuit before we go into more of this stuff. Okay? Now what is this? In the past, I've shown you different circuits, right? I showed you, if you remember, I showed you the reticular activating system and the brainstem in previous videos. I've showed you the hippocampus. I've showed you a lot of things. Now today, one region you already know about from previous videos. I've talked about it extensively. It's this right here, right? It's the prefrontal cortex, the PFC. The prefrontal cortex comes again and again in the videos that I make because it's the newest part of the brain, right? If you want to know all the details about the PFC, about reward discounting and how you can use it to make more money, blah, 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 I've already recorded that video, so go watch that. But in today's video, the role of the prefrontal cortex is a little bit different, and I'm going to tell you what it is very soon. Look, the reason I've written T here is because the prefrontal cortex contains what is known as, let me write it here, androgen receptors. Okay? Think of androgen receptors like testosterone receptors. Now there's two different ways for testosterone to act in the brain. One is a very slow and boring way, which is basically what all the gurus teach you. It's going to take years and years, and the 10,000 hour rule and all this bullshit, right? Bunch of myths, which I will completely shatter today. Then there's the second fast way of boosting testosterone, naturally increasing masculinity so you can get to your prime and you can reach your potential. That fast way, and exactly what happens in the brain, inside actual neurons, I'm going to get to that today as well in a slide. Okay, now here is the PFC. What the hell is this thing? Okay, this area I haven't really discussed, so let me touch on it a little bit before we move on, because I fucking love this area. This area actually saved my life, and I'll tell you why. It's located right here. You see it right here, right? You can't see it in the brain like that. You have to open up the brain, and it's inside. It's a subcortical area, right? Cortex is here on the top. This is a subcortical area, and it is, take it out for you, right here. It is known as the amygdala. The amygdala, okay? We're not going to get into the history. We're not going to get into the history of the amygdala or exactly, the Latin roots of it and all that. You can go look that up. That's available everywhere. But we are going to get into the function of the amygdala when it comes to testosterone. Okay? So here I've drawn the amygdala. Write this down in your notes. Amygdala. Okay? Amygdala. Right here. This area right here. Okay? Now, why is the amygdala so important? First, why is the prefrontal cortex so important? When testosterone, and again, we're going to go through the cycles of baby, adolescent, adult very soon, but just in a nutshell, so you get your neurons pumping right now. And I give you some excitement about this how cool this masterclass is. In the prefrontal cortex first, okay. The prefrontal cortex, in a nutshell, is for planning, working memory, focusing, avoiding distractions. I just recorded a how to get instant focus video. It's all in that as well. So you could watch that as well. But what testosterone does in the prefrontal cortex is that it controls the, for a lack of a better word, dumb shit that guys do with testosterone. Okay? Let me put that in other words. When you're a kid and you're taking risks, right? You're doing drugs, you're staying up late at night, you're not obeying your parents, you're putting your hand in fire, right? You're doing all of this dumb shit. The testosterone in the prefrontal cortex, its role is to control that. But in childhood, the prefrontal cortex is very small. I'm getting ahead of myself. But just to give you an idea, the prefrontal cortex is just to control the testosterone urges that you have. Okay? What about the amygdala? The amygdala is super cool. Traditionally, the amygdala is known as the area that makes you feel fear, makes you feel agitated, makes you feel nervous, makes you feel anxiety. It is also implicated in chronic depression. But there is a different role of the amygdala when it comes to testosterone. So when testosterone surges and it activates androgen receptors in the amygdala, you become more vigilant. They've done studies where they increase someone's testosterone and their response to angry faces increases. Imagine this, right? Testosterone is not just about violence. Yes, they've done actual studies where they looked at a bunch of criminals that are in jail and they said, okay, let's separate the high testosterone and the low testosterone criminals. And they found significant statistical difference that the high testosterone criminals are rapists, murderers, and armed robbers. Whereas the low testosterone criminals are like petty theft and this type of like low-level crimes. So yes, there is a correlation. There is a difference between those with high testosterone and low testosterone. However, the goal of this masterclass, what I'm going to teach you today, is to have high testosterone, but be able to control it with the prefrontal cortex wiring. And we're going to rewire your brain today. In today's masterclass, your brain will get rewired. I promise you that, okay? Muscle, sure. I mean, look, a lot of these things you already know. A lot of these things other people have talked about. I'm going to do my best to cover things that no one has talked about, that nobody even knows, because no one has read the neuroscience literature on testosterone like I have, right? Simple as that. You know, does it make you more attractive? You know, blah, blah, blah. Now, why did I write this 801? So you understand that I'm not full of crap here, just wearing a lab coat and have no practical, real results. I've increased my testosterone from 376 nanograms per deciliter to 801 nanograms per deciliter. And I'm sure you're really good at math, so you know this is more than doubling testosterone. And traditionally, and even today, the idiots believe that you only can increase testosterone with TRT, or you can only increase it by 100 points, 150 points. This is bullshit. If you follow the right protocol, you can double your testosterone fast, not instantly. You can increase testosterone instantly, but doubling it takes a little bit of time, but it's fast. And I'm going to show you that today and exactly how to do that, right? Here's something very interesting that I'm going to cover today. Challenge, right? I want you to really consider this. This masterclass here, I'm going to challenge you. A lot of your beliefs, I'm going to challenge them. And like I said, all the information you already know, just for now, let it go. Because there's so much misinformation from the gurus who have no results. They haven't transformed anyone. I myself, and I'm going to get to that in a later slide, I have used my protocol to transform thousands of men, and many of them doubled their testosterone naturally. So I'm not talking out of my ass here. So you will learn how to do that today as well. Of course, confidence, right? This is why I started my journey towards testosterone. In 2013, when I had all of these problems, in my mind was literally, Farhan, you have to double your testosterone. That's it. I had no other goal. I didn't care if I hurt people. I didn't care if I insulted people. I didn't care if I got in trouble with the law. I just wanted to increase my testosterone, and that's all I gave a shit about. That was a phase in my life. Of course, a lot of shit has happened since then, and I'm going to take you through that journey as well. A lot of people think it's about roid rage. No, this is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about this. Okay? We're not talking about TRT. TRT is stupid. Okay? Look, Sure, there are exceptions, very few exceptions to TRT, but I do not believe in this. I do not believe in any synthetic stuff. Because naturally boosting testosterone and doubling testosterone is very easy and very possible. So this circuit here, okay, we're going to keep coming back to this circuit, so please remember. The amygdala is influencing the prefrontal cortex, and the prefrontal cortex is inhibiting the amygdala, right? A minus. It's trying to control the amygdala through inhibition, through suppression, okay? And the amygdala is also sending input to the prefrontal cortex, and it can also inhibit the prefrontal cortex, right? So this is a game going on, a seesaw balance game between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. Now, of course, yes, all of this is valid if you believe, money is a big one, right? There's these awesome studies with traders in London, stock market traders, and even in different cities, not just London, and they find out that those guys, when they take bigger risks, they have a higher testosterone. And the guys who have a higher testosterone take bigger risks. And not only do they take bigger risks, but the guys who had a higher testosterone in the morning, they make more money during the day. So one of the protocols that I used to build $2 million businesses, travel the world, and retire my parents was simply to increase my testosterone. And I didn't even know that was going to happen. My only goal, when I started my journey in 2013, my only goal was this, to become confident with women. That was it. But I got so many more things, okay? So we've did a lot of stuff today. Oh my God, lots of stuff. This is Testosterone 2.0. Let's get started and let me tell you what you will learn today, okay? Okay. Just grab a little bit of water and we talk about what we will learn. A lot of cool things today, man. A lot of cool things. Okay. We're going to rewire the masculinity brain circuit. Here's probably the first time you're going to hear about this. This is so obvious. It's over and over in the literature. If you read the neuroscience papers, they tell you the masculinity brain circuit, how it works. But for some reason, no one's talking about it. So for the first time ever, you're going to learn that today. We're going to shatter myths and let go of old beliefs, right? Like I told you about the aggression myth, right? Testosterone does not make you more aggressive. And this is another myth, right? A lot of guys, some of these are my friends who are in their 40s. And I'm in my 40s. I'll be 44 in January. A lot of guys, they believe that if you're old, your testosterone will decrease. And there is no way around it. You have to take TRT or take some performance-enhancing drugs, do steroids, do other stuff. That is completely bullshit. Because I have clients in their 70s who've tripled their testosterone. Of course, that doesn't happen often. It's very rare. I've seen it a few times. But doubling testosterone in your 70s, at least doubling it, it is possible because I've seen it. And it is possible naturally. The human body and the human brain is that powerful. So remember that. I'm not promising you're going to triple your testosterone with this protocol. You're probably not, unless it's very low. If your testosterone is super, super, super low, tripling is very possible. But if you have low testosterone, not super low, but just low or medium, you can double your testosterone and increase it to over 1,000, which a lot of my clients have done. So we're going to shatter some myths, even more myths than what I already did so far today. Testosterone inside neurons, fast versus slow. A lot of you, including me, we want fast results. We don't have time to do this, 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, study for 5 years. This is bullshit. When I was in Vegas, and I talked a little bit about that in previous masterclasses, when I was in Vegas, I became confident with women very fast. Why? Well, because when I talked to the real expert of being confident with women, there's one guy I talked to, and I talk about him in a previous masterclass. You can go watch that. I wrote his thought patterns and his way of seeing the world. Because here's the thing with naturals, right? You want to hang out with naturals. Because naturals, they are amazing at what they do. There's guys who are naturals with money, guys who are naturals with women, naturals with working out. You want to talk to these guys. But here's the problem. You need a neuroscience background to understand what the hell is happening in their brain. Because these guys suck at teaching. Naturals can't teach. And someone like me, the only thing I'm natural in is in studies, getting straight A pluses and being top of my class. That's basically what I'm natural in. Everything else I had to learn and transform and rewire my brain. So we're gonna do it the fast way, not the slow way. And I'm gonna show you the physiology of this inside neurons, right? And of course, you're gonna learn why gurus are wrong and you should not do it the slow way because gurus are doing it the slow way. How to double your T naturally and keep it for life. And I'm also at the very end gonna introduce you to a very cool community that has helped me insanely over the last 12 years. And you're gonna get a bravo introduction to that. The real cause of the masculinity crisis, right? What do people say? It's big pharma, the food corporations, Tylenol recently. I know our friend has been talking about Tylenol and circumcision. Interesting stuff in the news. No, please. Right? So we just blame government, parents, religion, my wife, my exes, because I broke up with them and they hurt me, they gave me anxiety. No. None of that is masculinity crisis. Hell no, not even close. Okay? So we're gonna discover the true meaning of T, right? What is the true meaning of testosterone? I had to learn this the hard way because I followed the gurus, man. Okay? How to fix low status and social incompetence. This is something that is very much close to my heart, man, because even though I had a PhD, back in 2013, I graduated, right? I would wear this lab coat in the lab. I would recording from monkeys' brains. It's like Harvard professors that are my supervisors that are helping me, Nobel Prize winners like David Hubel that I'm talking to all the time, right? Learning from one-on-one. And when I graduated, I thought I had low status. Why? Because when I would look at a girl, while I was a virgin at 31, I would look at a girl and I would be like, fuck, I'm not good enough for this girl. This girl is better than me. Because when I look at her, I feel anxiety, amygdala, right? And I'll get to this soon. I'll just give you a little tidbit. You can use the amygdala how you want. Testosterone will activate the amygdala, right? But it's your choice to use that wiring to fix your life. Again, getting a little bit ahead of myself, but old people use their amygdala to ruminate and worry and think negative things about the world. Whereas young people, like teenagers, they use the amygdala to take risks, to go have unsafe sex, right? Stay up late at night, not do the homework, skip school. And I'll tell you what I did in my adolescent years so you understand where I'm coming from and why I became so obsessed with testosterone. Social incompetence, fuck man. I was so scared. I remember in Vegas, the first day I was with one of the gurus thank God I left those guys, the pickup guys. But I saw a girl and this guy was literally forcing me to go approach this girl. And dude, I was feeling stomach pain. Like the worst bloat, nasty, like you just ate a nasty buffet at some Chinese food and you're bloated and your stomach hurts, but like 10 times worse. And he kept forcing me, and I kept becoming more and more scared of women. So that exposure therapy, it doesn't work for everyone, okay? So please try to understand where I'm coming from. Like right now, my ability to have this confidence and record this video and look at you in the eye, this is fucking nuts for me. Because I started off as such a big nerd. Dude, since I was a kid, and I'll tell you, actually, this is very interesting. Why do you think I'm even able to do this? Right? This is a very interesting thing. I'll tell you just a little bit because I'll talk about it in a future video. But when I was a kid, so my mom, I think she graduated from like 6th grade or something. Like she skipped school, she like bunked class. She was like the favorite of the family. So she didn't really have to study, right? The relatives did her homework, like my aunt did her homework and shit. So my mom is sort of dumb when it comes to books, but she's very smart in the street, right? She's very street smart, very practically smart, but she's dumb when it comes to books. Like she doesn't know where the fuck anything is in the world. She has no idea about world history. Like she's just clueless, right? She's an idiot when it comes to academics. But when I was going to school, right, she would fucking pester me to teach her exactly what I learned, right? And this is even like when I was learning geometry and I was learning algebra, my mom kept asking, because I went to school in Pakistan, so we learned this shit very early, right? So I would be learning this advanced math, not so advanced now, but it was for me then. And my mom would say, explain to me this. I would go in biology class and I would learn, mitosis, meiosis, gene replication. And my mom's like, explain to me this. And dude, I would have to sit there drawing this shit and explaining to my mom how all this shit works. That's why I got the ability to explain science to people in this way. I would literally draw stuff. And we didn't have a flip chart, I had just like a piece of paper, and I would draw stuff for my mom. And that is how I became good at explaining stuff, because I had to my mom, or she wouldn't let me go, right? So how to fix low testosterone and become socially competent, because the cool thing that I've realized in the last 7 years of neuroscience research is that testosterone is the social hormone. Remember this, right? This is big, right? When it comes to increasing social status, increasing your place in society, maintaining your status, maintaining your territory, making the right decisions, not being stupid. This is all governed by testosterone, okay? So we're going to learn that. And this I don't care. Yeah. Ooh, this is big. This is big. When I had low testosterone, I still remember. When a girl rejected me, or let's say I couldn't buy something, right? Because I was poor. I didn't have money, right? We grew up poor. So when this happened, because I had low T, I didn't even care about status. When I was doing my PhD with low testosterone, you don't really need testosterone to get good grades, trust me. When I was doing my PhD with low testosterone, I didn't even care about money. I didn't care about women. This was like towards the very end that I started caring, because my life was going to shit and I was so depressed. But I didn't really care about like, oh, what is my place in the world? What is my family gonna think of me? Or, does my family have respect from the world? Am I being respected? What is my reputation? I didn't care about any of that because I didn't care about my low status. So this is very important for you. If you're stuck and you don't actually care about increasing your status, or you think you care because you hear some gurus, and by the way, these gurus, they're following other gurus. They have no creativity, no real curiosity, no real backbone. They're just stealing from other people, right? Oh, crypto, let me do crypto. Oh shit, Bitcoin, let me do Bitcoin. Oh, social media, let me do social media. Oh, AI, let me do AI. This type of behavior is very childlike, very low testosterone, low masculinity behavior. So we're going to talk about that. You need to start caring about your status a lot, okay? Modern guru versus old Renaissance man. So the modern guru is low testosterone, and the old Renaissance man is high testosterone. Let me explain to you what this means. Okay. Today's gurus, and especially the gurus that I used to follow, and I did this for years, and I really, really learned the hard way. What I've realized with today's gurus is that there's multiple problems. One is, and there's a slide coming soon with this exact thing, but I'll give you a little preview. They keep doing the same shit even if it's not working, right? Like they'll invest in something like some type of behavior, some type of content, some type of education, some type of belief, and it ain't working. But they double, triple, quadruple down on this. And this is very sad. This is very low T behavior. So if you look in the world today, right? I don't want to get into this too deeply. But even if you look at a guy like Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson is preaching play. But I've never seen the guy smile. I've never seen the guy play. And I love him. I love this guy, right? He's used to be one of my mentors. And I haven't listened to him in years because I realized that, unfortunately, may God help him, because right now he's going through a lot of trouble in the hospital and stuff. And I love the guy. I pray for the guy. I pray for the guy every day, right? I love Jordan Peterson. This guy's amazing. But look, I don't understand why people are not taking action on what they already know. When I realized I had low testosterone, I fucking went to Vegas. I left. Fuck the PhD. Fuck that shit. Who gives a fuck? $250K in debt. Who gives a fuck? I gotta do this. Believe in God and fucking go. But people like Jordan Peterson, there's other people right now in our world that, they'll blame things on toxic mold or spiritual attacks. No. You are just in your sympathetic nervous system. You're not taking a break. You're not having fun. You're not dancing. You're not playing. I don't want to go too deep into JP, but when they go to conferences, he's sleeping in a different room than his wife. What the fuck is going on? This is not right. You cannot be a masculinity teacher, but then this happens. I don't believe this is good. And it's not just him. There's many, many people right now. You will see them yelling. You will see them preaching shit, but they're not acting on it. They're doing the complete opposite of what they're saying. So please, when you have knowledge of something, take action. Okay? This is a little side note I had to go because I really wanted you to do this. So this modern guru shit, please don't follow these guys. Okay? What is the old Renaissance man? This is a very interesting term. I really like this term. Let me talk about it. Okay, so one of the old Renaissance men that I know a lot about, is Leonardo da Vinci. I'm not going to get into the whole history, but this guy played the game. I'll tell you what that means soon. I have a slide about playing the game. But he played the game, right? Let me try astronomy. Let me try painting. Let me try inventing. Let me try mathematics. Let me try writing. He was playing the game to discover his true gift. That's the old Renaissance man. I followed this protocol in my life, right? So I've done fashion. I've done acting. I've done improv. I've traveled the world learning different languages rigorously, right? After the PhD, I went in the testosterone field. Then I wanted to get jacked, so I grew a bunch of muscle, right? I've had girlfriends. Now I'm a husband, right? I'm going to be a father soon. Thank God, right? I'm going to enter that part of my life and I'm going to embark on that amazing journey soon. So all of this, you got to play the game. That's the only way to save your family. That's the only way to save your father, to save your mother, to save your kids. You have to play the game. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over like the gurus. This world is a blessing, bro. Like the blessings that we've received as men in this world, right? You'll see the old men, very bitter. No, the world is beautiful. Nature, God, right? Evolution, this design, this creation, this universe is unbelievably amazing. We just have to realize it and then act on it, okay? So that's the old Renaissance man. We're going to bring that back and I'll teach you how. Neural evolution of a man, right? Childhood to maturity. We're going to talk about that actually very next with man's biggest challenge. Childhood to maturity, right? A lot of men are still children, and I'll tell you why this is happening and how to pick that out. So let's go to, are men fucked, right? What is the biggest challenge for men today? And this will explain everything that I'm talking about. By the way, write this in your notes, right? When I'm describing what is happening in the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala throughout these different phases of life, write this down in your book. Get a black book and keep it. Write everything down. All right. So the masculinity cycle. Again, this is very clear in the literature. What is happening in development? What is happening in all the stages of a man's life? It's very clear, but for some reason, nobody's ever talked about it. This is weird. And I get it. Everyone is in this echo chamber of testosterone, muscle, and grow a big dick and pop big loads and, right? Like fuck a bunch of women and have a harem. And this is not manhood, by the way. I used to think it was, actually. I'll get the harem, I'll tell you. Okay, so what's the masculinity cycle? This is fascinating neuroscience as well as development. Some cool hormone endocrinology I'm going to teach you. All right, so what happens? You're born, right? When you're born, by the way, when a baby is born, he, I'll just say she. When a baby is, let's do he because this is the testosterone talk. Okay, when a baby is born, he has the entire structure, right? Of course, the baby's brain is much smaller than that. Has 100 billion neurons, okay? 100 trillion synaptic connections. And the brain structure is all there. Everything exists. The connections aren't all there. They will get connected and the connections will become stronger. Some connections will get cut. Right, this is literally what happens. So when a baby is born, has 100 billion neurons, and then what happens is these connections, as the baby gets experience in life, they get pruned. It's called synaptic pruning. Basically, when the baby learns stuff, he has those areas of the brain become stronger, connect better, more neural pathways. Right? The connections are stronger, they're more excited, more stimulated. And what the baby doesn't get access to, those connections die. That's called synaptic pruning. And it is happening from baby to about 10 years old. Okay? The big stage of synaptic pruning. Now, right here, first surge. Okay, so the prefrontal cortex right here, right? Teeny. Why did I draw it teeny? Of course, the prefrontal cortex is there, but it's not well connected, right? Because the baby does not need a big prefrontal cortex connection. It can do without it because the baby's being taken care of by his parents, right? The amygdala here is there, and again, I've drawn it very, very small. Because the connections don't exist. I mean, of course the connections are there, but the strength of those connections will happen through life. Because at this moment, the baby is not, attracted to women yet, or doesn't want to do drugs yet, right? Doesn't want to skip school yet, doesn't want to do all of that. So that's why I drew it very, very small, okay? Now, the first surge. This is where the first surge of testosterone happens. Now, a lot of people believe, even scientists don't know this, they think, oh, puberty. Puberty is testosterone. No. The first surge of testosterone happens in those first couple of years of life. Okay, so that's why it's the first surge. And the main goal of testosterone in these first years of life, why it is activating the amygdala, is because of play. Play. And I'm going to talk a lot about play here. And I'm sure you've seen videos about rough and tumble play, right? Like when we do jiu-jitsu, we're doing this rough and tumble play even as adults. When we do wrestling, when you're having sex with your wife, your girlfriend, your whoever, a prostitute, or even with porn, right? Like there are different levels of play, right? When I was addicted to porn for almost 30 years, I know this, right? When you're watching porn, you're not touching anyone except your dick. Or maybe if you massage yourself, fine. But you are not engaging in any behavior that will allow oxytocin flow, right? Something that will make you feel love and bond with the person, some emotions. No, none of that, right? It's basically you're watching a scene, you think that this person, this man is you, and you get anxiety after, right? You feel guilty after. So you're using your amygdala when you're doing porn for that aspect, which is really, really terrible. You need to quit porn if you're still watching it at this time. It's crazy, man. You're going to have crazy low T. I promise you that. Okay. So play. Don't forget play, because testosterone, when it activates neurons in the amygdala, it is what makes you engage in rough and tumble play. So if you look at guys, and I mentioned a guy recently, and there's many guys like that, they're very serious. Like, chill out, bro. Calm down. Take it lightly. You don't have to get your cortisol so high all the time, right? It's okay. Have fun in life. Enjoy with your family. Dance, sing, right? Eat great food. Travel the world. Have fun, okay? So that's the first one. Now the second one is this guy, right? This poor teenager with acne everywhere. Okay? In this case, the prefrontal cortex has grown a little bit. Look. It's grown. Grown meaning more connections. It's experiencing more about the world. Right? You remember when you were a teenager. If you're right now a teenager watching this, you know exactly how this feels. This is a certain phase in life. Look, the amygdala is also big. It's getting bigger, right? But what is the amygdala being used for? For, let's say, this guy for anywhere from 10 to 20 years old, right? By the way, there's a big difference between masculinity today and in the Renaissance days, because traditionally what has happened in the masculinity concept, right, in humans, is basically we used to hit puberty much later, right? Around 15, 16 years old, 14 to 16 years old. You hit puberty, you go through this, all the sexual characteristics, right? The masculine characteristics. And then you start working with your dad or, with your family, you take up a job, right? This is sort of what has happened in human history. But in the modern day, what's happening is that puberty happens way earlier. Right? Sometimes 9 years old, 10 years old, very early. And then the kid goes through this insane schooling where he's like sitting, I remember I was there, right? Yes, 2 + 2 = 4. Okay. Okay, the first president, George Washington. Okay, got it. Okay. The three boats by Christopher Columbus, Nina Santa Maria Pinto. Right? You're learning this. Your rote memorization is happening in school, during that time. And then maybe you get a job. Or you go to university, you go to graduate school, you get a PhD, and it just carries on and on and on, right? And I'll tell you what the fuck is happening today, man. So at this age, okay, you have a big ego, right? And I drew this solar system here. I'll tell you why I drew it. So last night I was reading Stephen Hawking, Brief History of Time, amazing book. And in it, he talks about, in the beginning, the history of cosmology, right? So he's saying, look, men, because women weren't really involved in this stuff back in the day, men like Aristotle, Ptolemy, right? Basically all the Greek philosophers, scientists before Copernicus, they thought that everything revolved around the earth, right? It's the earth, all the planets, the sun, the whole fucking universe is traveling around the earth, right? That's what we thought. Geocentric model. Then comes Copernicus and he's like, that's bullshit. This doesn't make any sense, because he was studying, right? He was an astronomer looking around. He was also a priest. So he was afraid to tell the church. So he published anonymously that, hey, by the way, guys, things are traveling around the sun, not us. This is weird. But nobody believed him for 100 years. You know that? Copernicus, who's, by the way, Polish, and I went to the city he was born in, Torun, in Poland. It's a beautiful city, beautiful place. And Copernicus says, hey, Earth ain't the center, guys. But what do men do? It's what men usually do. Have a big fucking ego. And they're like, no. This guy must be wrong. Let's put him in jail. The fuck is this priest saying? He's a priest. He's supposed to advance the church and the beliefs of the church and the teachings of the church. So even great people like Aristotle, Ptolemy, and the people who came after Copernicus, everyone after Copernicus all the way to Galileo and Kepler, right? All these scientists, they didn't even get it for 100 years. This model of heliocentric, right? The sun being at the center, this existed, but nobody believed Copernicus. So this is something you need to understand. You, as a man, you have to kill your old self if it doesn't serve you. However, once you do that and you evolve, you can bring him back. Look, I didn't wear a lab coat for 10 years. 2013, I graduated my PhD, went to Vegas, traveled around the world, right? Did all my adventures in life. I never wore a lab coat. I hated the lab coat. I hated academia. I hated my professors, right? But then at a certain time, and I'll tell you about another phase of life that I'll tell you soon. At some point in my life, I realized that this is the truth, right? The ethos of where I got my PhD from McGill, my collaborations with MIT, with Harvard, with Nobel Prize winner David Hubel, like all of these. And I'll tell you something interesting about David Hubel. Very, very interesting, right? Even though he's such an amazing guy, even the great David Hubel was stuck in this. I remember one time we were having a one-on-one lunch. And, but by the way, look him up. David Hubel, amazing guy. He discovered the critical period of vision and how if you deprive vision very early on, you will stay blind for life. David Hubel discovered this. Amazing guy, Harvard guy, went to McGill first, then got a job at Harvard. And he told me once, he's like, I asked him, what is the next frontier in neuroscience? What should new students study? I was already in my third or fourth year then. And he said, no matter what you study, don't pay attention to all of this modeling and math and statistics and all of this mumbo jumbo. In order for you to know what is happening in a neuron, you have to be able to hear it. He sucked at math, right? Like, I wouldn't say he sucked at math, but he wasn't a math guy. He wasn't like he was a neuroscience guy. He was a physiologist, right? He was a doctor, right? An MD. So he wasn't very fond of technology, even though he was very good at technology. He invented the microelectrode. But he wasn't really fond of this like statistical methods and this like complicated computer algorithms. He was a very very raw guy, right? Very old-fashioned raw guy. So he was like, if you can't hear it, right? Like in when we were recording from the visual cortex right here, in the back of the brain, we would take an electrode into the monkey brain. I would do this every single day. I would take an electrode, go inside, all the way to area MT, V1, MST, and record. And as I would move the bar in the visual field of the monkey, and I would hear the neurons, right? I would be like, brr, 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 brr. Fascinating, right? But if I went this way, nothing. Because the neurons liked this motion. They were selective for this motion. It was unbelievable, right? So David Hubel is like, fuck that. If you can't hear it, don't study it. So he said you should study smell, right? The sense of smell, because nobody was really studying that back in the day. Now, this is like a decade ago, more than a decade ago, right? What else do adolescents love? They love to take risk, right? Take things that the parents don't want them to do. They get addicted. I was addicted to porn at a very early age, around 11, 12 years old. I got addicted. From Pakistan, we immigrated to America. We were in Texas. And I was 9. And then 2 years later, I got addicted to porn, right? We seek validation as kids, right? We seek admiration. We want to get the approval of our parents. We want to get the approval of our peers, of society, right? This is what's happening. And why? Well, the second surge of testosterone, you're getting the random boners. You like this girl at school, but your mom won't let you talk to her, so you go and masturbate to porn at home, right? But for me, and this resonates with a lot of my coaching clients too in the past. I don't coach anymore, but I used to, and a lot of my clients were, from Indian, Chinese, or very strict, like Catholic, right, backgrounds. And they would tell me that they were studying all the time, just like me, right? They weren't allowed to like go and talk to a girl or go date someone, go to the prom. Like, I thought I was the only one, but unfortunately there's a lot of men like me, right? I'm not the only one. So and for me, dude, like in my teenage years, right, my adolescent, let's say 10 years old to 20 years old, I shit you not, I had one goal in life: to make the best grades in the school, not even in the class, in the school. Take the hardest classes. In my high school in Texas, I had the hardest schedule. I took every AP class. Even the ones I didn't give a shit about. I took them and I made straight A's throughout, right? Same thing in university. Straight A's. Took a very hard major. I majored in computer science before I started neuroscience, but it was all for validation. So people think I'm smart. So my ego gets bigger and bigger, right? To lift my ego up. And then when okay, this stage here, I'm going to talk about this stage very soon, right? But unfortunately, I got into this stage very late. As men, I know this stupid shit, 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 30, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, man. I don't know about all that. I think it's bullshit. Like, I don't think this is going to work. For happiness and like real happiness, I think this is bullshit, right? So I think in my life, This stage was very long. Now, in a lot of men today, this stage lasts the whole life. They never become adults. They're always kids. They're always immature, right? This is a lot of men like that today. But at this stage of my life, so I got amazing grades, I got into a great university, got into a great program, got into a great PhD. When I went to McGill, I had the top fellowship. It's called the Tomlinson Fellowship. It was the best fellowship the school can give. They give it to one student every year, and I got it. And I was in the computer science department. And then when I switched, I was so interested in the brain. I was so interested in neuroscience that I let go of that fellowship. I let go of the money, no problem. And I did neuroscience. I mean, I love this field, man. I fucking love it. So this has happened, right? And when I moved to Vegas after my PhD to pick up girls, and if you don't know my story, watch other videos, watch the recent masterclasses and workshops. You're going to have a good time to learn all my adventures in Vegas when I was in my early 30s, right? One real goal I had in life is to have a harem. I wanted to stay single. My aunt used to tell me, my aunt in Texas, that I would never fall in love because it was too late, right? I was banging girls, party girls in Vegas, right? Traveling the world, not giving a fuck. Almost got killed in Vegas once. It's a story I already told. You could watch a video for that. It's crazy. But I really had this dream of staying single my whole life, right? Staying in that kid phase. I don't care about family. There's too many hot girls in the world. I just want to chase girls all the time. It's so much fun, picking up girls, getting numbers, and then like taking them on a date, and then or just picking them up from the club, or just fucking them in the club. Like all of these dreams I had, right? Fuck that cute blonde behind the dumpster of the club, right? Right? All of these, break these rules of society, right? I had all of these dreams. And of course, some of those dreams I did, in fact. But at a certain point in my life, I came to this. And I'm sorry about this drawing. I was trying to draw like a high testosterone adult, a mature adult, right? So use your imagination. Use your imagination. My bad about this one. I don't know what I was doing. But I don't want to, again, draw it. So use your imagination. This is a high testosterone adult, a mature adult, right? Now, in the adolescent, the amygdala is big, right? Because risk-taking and all the social stuff, admiration. The prefrontal cortex is not connected yet. It's not well developed yet, right? The prefrontal cortex fully, of course, it develops the whole life, and then it shrinks. I'm talking about how it shrinks. But towards adulthood, it keeps developing, and it hasn't really developed until like mid-20s to late 20s. And there's always new research coming out about the prefrontal cortex. So we may find out that it doesn't develop until the 30s even, right? This is the last area of the brain to develop in a human being. And it's the most recent area in evolution, right? It makes a lot of sense. So in this phase, see, here you had a not very well developed prefrontal cortex, but here you do. If you get to this phase, by the way, if you get here, and I'll tell you what this phase is. This is a beautiful phase, by the way, okay? I'm going to put a little circle around this phase, right? This phase right here, right? This beautiful phase. This is my favorite phase. I'm in this phase, and I want to stay in this phase for life. I fucking love this phase, right? This phase of high testosterone and still playing, right? You're using and remember, this prefrontal cortex is now developed, so it can control the amygdala. Here, it's hard to control the amygdala because your testosterone is surging. You're just taking risk. This part, the amygdala, is turning off the prefrontal cortex, right? This minus, I told you, right? The amygdala is turning off the prefrontal cortex. So prefrontal cortex can't do shit during adolescent years. Hence what happens to these kids, right? But at a certain point, you have to become an adult. And I'll tell you what this is. So there came a time in my life, and I'll tell you, I swear to God, I believe this is a miracle. Maybe I put in an effort, maybe I put in enough that God thought I deserved this, but I only entered this maturity when I decided to get married. And that commitment to building a deeper and deeper relationship with a woman and going all in till eternity. That decision, again, this is a testosterone-based decision. I'll tell you how, very soon, how you can do that. Make quick decisions. I still remember I was standing, there's a different story I've talked in a previous video about how me and my current wife, we almost broke up. And this was way before we were girlfriend, boyfriend. And there was this miraculous moment where I looked at her. We were at a restaurant in Mexico, and something happened, and I looked at her, and that moment, this is a very testosterone action which happens instantly. Instant testosterone working. I said, you know what? This is my girl. This is my dream. I'm going to take care of her the rest of my life. That day, that night, I still remember it like it was yesterday. That made me the adult, the mature masculine that I am today. Okay? And of course, I'm going to enter fatherhood, and that's going to be fun and a lot of play, right? Now, the cool thing is, even at this stage of life, you got to play. You got to have fun. You got to go eat at amazing restaurants, right? Go on dates with your girl. Have fun with your parents. Learn new shit. Be curious. Read new books. Go travel, right? Love. Go in nature. Don't be serious. Fun, right? So you become a mature adult. When you play, you have high testosterone, but you also take care of your family. And when I retired my parents, that was another phase of my life. This happened a few years ago. I talked about that in detail in another video. You could go watch that. But that was one of the most amazing days of my entire life. Okay? So this is phase 3. Right? Amygdala is very well connected, so you still take risks. Your testosterone's still working. You're vigilant. You're not naive. You don't get tricked by gurus, right? You're your own man. You're creative. You're the old Renaissance man. You're learning new shit. You're playing the game. And then this old fogey over here in phase 4, right? Look at this guy. Lots of connection in the amygdala. It's overactive, right? It's hyperactive. This amygdala is fucking hyperactive in this old guy. But the prefrontal cortex has shrunk. And this happens. The prefrontal cortex shrinks as you become older and older, unfortunately, in most men. Does not have to be, though. Does not have to be. The goal today that I have for you is get to this stage and become way prettier than this guy, but get to this stage and stay there till you are on this beautiful planet. Never enter this shit. Okay, now what is this guy? Okay. Low T, of course, look at the guy, low T. And by the way, you can look at someone I at least can. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years. I can look at someone and know if they have high or low T. It's not even about their muscle. Dude, I've seen guys, one of my clients, extremely buff, big dude, huge muscles. His testosterone is lower than what mine used to be. His is in the 200s. So it's not this type of, don't believe this myth. Oh, this guy has a lot of muscle, he's high testosterone. No, no, no. Testosterone is inside the body. It's way, way, way more than muscle. Okay? So this guy, well, he screams. I sometimes scream too, but I'm just very passionate. But this guy's screaming all the time. And he's not screaming because he's passionate. He's screaming because he's pissed. He's sad. Lonely. Right? Lonely. And this word right here, ruminate. Oh, this is going to kill you. This is going to kill. Rumination. This is what cows do, right? Cows ruminate. You know this. Rumination. I'll tell you what it is soon. But rumination is one of the biggest killers of testosterone. What does it mean? What I see in old men today, lots of old men with low T, some of them were my clients and then we fixed them. Now they're great. Now they have a completely different brain. But these guys, what they used to do is they would all the time talk shit. They would talk shit about the government without any action. They wouldn't take action on their own, right? They would blame the big pharma, blame the big food corporations, blame the parents, blame the religion, blame childhood trauma, blame, point fingers. That gets you lower and lower testosterone. Plenty of studies to show that rumination is one of the big correlates of low testosterone. So please stop ruminating. Now here's what's really interesting. My markers are getting cold because of this cold water. One second. Write this down in your black book, okay? What I'm about to give you, because this is huge. Unfortunately, today, what I see in men, in masculinity today, we're going from this stage to this stage. We skip this stage. Now, this stage, I don't just mean becoming an adult and being 30 years old, being 40 years old, being 50 years old. That's not what I mean. By this, I mean you get it all. You have high testosterone, you're playing, you have built wealth, you've taken care of your family, you can buy whatever you want. You're happy. You're fulfilled, you're content. This stage, most men will never enter in today's world. They would rather watch porn. They would rather, I still can't believe people smoke cigarettes. I can't believe it. I can't believe there are adults who hide from their parents to drink alcohol. I can't believe it. This is actually happening, right? You go from adolescent, you stay there. Now, I stayed there for a while too. I stayed there way longer than I should have, but I stayed there and I learned a lot. But at least I got here and now I'm here. But most men will go here. They'll get diabetes and high blood pressure and taking pills all day long, complaining about the world. This is our goal, guys. And we're going to get there, okay? So now, you learn about this prefrontal cortex. You don't want it to shrink. You want it to stay big. You want amygdala to stay big. And you want to use testosterone the right way. Okay, and we're going to get to that. The neural pathway that keeps you stuck. And this is really cool because now for the first time I'm going to explain to you how to make testosterone wire your brain fast, right? This rewiring that I always talk about in my videos. when you have a hormone acting on a neuron, which I'm going to show you how it works, there's a very slow way, which is what everyone's talking about, right? It's going to take you years, it's going to take you days, it's going to take you weeks. No, no, no. We want the action of hormones instantly. That's what we are after. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now, okay? So how testosterone rewires your brain instantly, and this is what we're after. Right? Let's face it, man. Let's cut the crap, right? Money and love. You want to make a lot of money, build generational wealth, so your parents, your children, your entire family, and even your community is taken care of. And you want to have love in your life. You want to have a happy relationship. What else is there? Getting a fit body is easy. Like that was a long time ago. I did that like snap of a finger. That was easy. This other stuff is where the gold is. And that's what I want for you, okay? So, let's talk about the old shitty way, right? Hours, days, weeks, months, or even years, right? And you know this 10,000 hour rule? It's terrible, man. I heard about this during my PhD. I was so depressed. I think this book came out in 2009. Malcolm Gladwell book. You know Malcolm Gladwell. I used to meet him in New York City. My buddy's apartment was right next to his in Greenwich. And he wrote this book in 2009. And I was like, what the fuck? This book is stupid, bro. Like 10,000 hours. But when I was in Vegas, and I sucked with women my entire life. And when I met the one expert that I've talked about several times in previous videos, when I literally hanging out with him, seeing him in action, writing down everything in my black book and studying it every night, and then carrying that out, studying the neural patterns and then carrying that out in the real world, I got so good. The dating company that I was a student of, they asked me to become an instructor and coach other guys. And then I did. I started coaching other guys. And it was fast, man, fast. So this 10,000 hour rule is a big stupidity, right? It's a big, big, big stupidity. And why is it stupid? Okay, so let's talk about the real slow way of how testosterone works. So imagine testosterone here, right? It's floating around, right? It's floating around right here, right? Bunch of testosterones. The slow way is testosterone goes inside the neuron, right? It's called diffusion because testosterone it's called lipophilic, right? It loves fat. And the membrane of a neuron is mostly made up of fat, of cholesterol, right? The cell membrane. Because it's lipophilic, testosterone is lipophilic, it loves fat, it can easily enter the neuron. It doesn't need any transport or any of this shit, right? It just enters. And when it enters, it binds, attaches to, remember what I taught you earlier? Androgen receptor. Binds to the androgen receptor, and then both of them together, right? It's called the testosterone androgen receptor, right? Imagine testosterone is floating around, and then here's a neuron, and the receptor, it goes inside the neuron, and boom, it binds inside the neuron like that, right? And then this testosterone androgen receptor complex, they travel and go inside the nucleus. You see how this is very slow? It's a very crazy, slow process, right? So first step, inside the neuron. Second step, binding to the receptor. Third step, it goes inside the nucleus, right? Fourth step, it binds to DNA inside the nucleus. It's a nuclear receptor, right? It binds to the damn DNA inside the nucleus. And then, fifth step, it turns genes on and off. And then sixth step is it does protein synthesis. And through those proteins, different pathways happen, and there's physical changes in the body or in behavior of a man, right? This is 6 steps. It's nutty. It's very slow. We don't want this. The reason we don't want this is because this is a linear growth. This is a shitty growth, right? So imagine a graph, you're growing like this, right? Linear. This is bullshit. Like if you grew your money linearly, you're not going to become rich. You're not going to become wealthy. You're going to be broke your whole life because then inflation is going to happen. Some medical emergency could happen. You might want to take a vacation. So linear growth is dumb. We don't want linear growth in life. Forget about this. Okay, don't settle for this bullshit growth, right? So we don't want this linear growth. No. What we want is instant growth. Okay, now, this is so cool. This is the new way of masculinity. This is the testosterone truth 2.0, one of the main things that I want to teach you today, all right? This is very fast, okay? There's nothing to do with the nucleus. Testosterone doesn't have to go inside the cell. It doesn't have to travel around, turn genes on, none of that, okay? All testosterone has to do, right? Again, there's a bunch of testosterone molecules floating around, blah, blah, blah. All it has to do is bind to a receptor on the cell surface. That right there. That's it. This does not take days or hours or weeks or months or years. Happens like that. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, we're here living in a very exotic place, so we went on we traveled on a walk in nature. And I was with my wife, and all of a sudden, I saw this, my wife was on her phone and she was recording some cool stuff. And all of a sudden, I saw this swarm of some insects flying around, like thousands of them. But she was on her phone, right? She wasn't really paying attention. So I grabbed her and I moved her away. Or she would have gone inside this swarm of insects. And God knows how many times she would have gotten bit. So that instant action, that social vigilance, that noticing and very quickly taking action where you don't have time to go into your memory. You don't have time for this slow, Daniel Kahneman in economics, he won the Nobel Prize, Thinking Fast and Slow, the guys who've read this book. He talks about this in the book, right? It's a very fast process and a very slow process that could take a while, right? Because you have to evoke memory. I didn't have time to evoke my long-term memory. Oh, when has this happened in the past? When did I get bit? No. Right now. Testosterone does that. Okay? And how? It doesn't need to do all this shit. It just binds to a receptor. Okay? So this is what I'm going to teach you today. The protocol I'm going to give you a little bit later, and the thing I told you about joining my community, you're going to learn how to do this and how to do it instantly. It's going to be amazing, man. Amazing. I can't wait. Let me give you some examples, right? Before I tell you what type of growth this is and what it's actually called in the literature, let me give you some examples of how this happened to me instantly. So I already gave you the husband example, right? Man, my water's running out. Maybe I need 2 bottles next time. So, I already told you about the story of me becoming a husband when I saw my wife in the restaurant. Okay. Doc T. This is also big. So, at the very, very, very beginning of my journey in 2014, remember I started in 2013. In 2014, this was around September 30th, 2014. Because I know it was exactly a month before I left Vegas. And I left Vegas end of October. Around the end of September 2014, I had this chat with my buddy. He was my first business partner. And we were chatting at one of the hotels. We were in the penthouse, right? I'd already met my billionaire friends. They'd already told me how to make money. So I was already, hustling and making money here and there. I hadn't built my businesses yet because I was still full-time picking up chicks. But at that time, we were having this discussion and I had gotten my testosterone results the day before. And it was 376 nanograms per deciliter. It was terrible. And I was like, holy shit, I'm an 82-year-old man. I have the health of an 82-year-old man. So Yuri was like, why don't you become a dick doctor? Literally his words, right? And thank you, Yuri, for saying that. Why don't you become a dick doctor? And I'm like, First I was like, my dick doesn't even work. Right? Like, at that time, I was still addicted to porn. Yes, I could get it up now and there, here and there, I could get it up. You know, those party girls I was banging, but it wasn't great sex ever, right? It wasn't like I had high testosterone. I was still a child, right? Fucking around, getting one night stands with these party girls. So when he says you should become a dick doctor, I'm like, first of all, I haven't even had amazing sex yet. And my testosterone is low. But because I had some testosterone in my body, at least some, that moment, I was like, okay, somehow the little testosterone I had allowed me in my amygdala, you know, the amygdala I told you, to that instance, I became a dick doctor. And I came up with the name Doc Testosterone. Imagine, dude, I had low testosterone, but I became Doc Testosterone. Typical fake it till you make it, right? Typical guru shit I was doing 12 years ago, 11 years ago, right? I was that guru as well, unfortunately. But thank God I got out of it somehow. And I'll tell you how also. So the Doc T story, right? I became Doc Testosterone when I had low testosterone. And then somehow I figured it out, right? I told you about the thing. And same thing with business, right? I talked about it in the other masterclass about money, but I would write all of those notes. When I went to the billionaire parties, I would write down all the notes in my black book. And then I would study those notes because these guys, man, these guys were fucking rich, filthy, filthy rich, but they sucked with women. So I was teaching them how to pick up women and they would teach me the money secrets. It was amazing, right? And same thing with sex. I sucked at sex for a long ass time. But then literally with a snap of a finger one day, I don't have all the time to go into it now, but it has a little bit to do with chemistry. I'll get into it in another video. But literally snap of a finger overnight, I became amazing at sex. And I thought, I swear to you, man, at some level in my psyche, I thought I would never get good. Because I was doing all of the techniques, right? A lot of you guys in the comments, you're like, Doc, what's the technique? What's the strategy? I tried all the techniques. None of them worked. Techniques don't work, man. Now, certain protocols that are actionable and are from experts, not gurus, those will work as long as there's proven results. But all of these techniques that guys are teaching, they're just learning from other gurus. There is no substance to what they're teaching about testosterone, unfortunately, right? So this is the type of we want. And this growth is known as quantum. Quantum growth. And one other concept I'm going to teach you about, the concept of recomposition. I'm sorry I'm giving you a lot of terminology, but I do want you to become smart at this stuff. Quantum growth, neural quantum growth. This is just a process by which you get growth instantly, right? Quantum. It's a stepwise function. This is linear, right? Quantum growth is you're here and then you're here. You jump from this level to this level here. Instantly. Instantly. Like that. Okay? Snap of a finger. So quantum growth and a quantum recomposition is basically, it's the quantum growth is a very broad subject of what is actually happening in terms of action in your life, right? You're growing at a quantum level. Quantum recomposition is what is happening inside your brain, right? So this is one way when testosterone binds to this receptor and you get instant activation of testosterone. This is known as recomposition. This is how your brain gets rewired instantly. And these are just a few examples I've given you. This has happened to me over and over and over, and it's unbelievable because I have replicated these results in my one-on-one clients. And next, when I'm bringing these protocols out to you guys, I'm going to replicate them in you as well. Okay? Now, I'll give you one more example before we move on. Okay? And that is this is just, I just wrote it here, right? This is quantum recomposition, right? This is the rewiring in your brain that happens constantly. I'll go into quantum recomposition fully in detail in a future video. Don't worry. This is just a term that I wanted to tell you, okay? The Hercules mom. I don't know if you've heard about this story, but this is unbelievable. This has happened over and over and over in our modern world. There will be a kid trapped under a car, right? Let's say a 10-year-old boy. He's trapped under the car, his parents are mechanics or whatever, right? He's working and then he gets trapped. And this kid is going to get killed. He's going to die under this car. And you would see the mother, this like 100-pound little scrawny woman, be able to pick up the car. The 3,000-pound car she can pick up and relieve the boy. So he gets free. Let me just make sure my stuff is recording. Yeah. Wow, we're an hour and a half in. Bravo, bravo. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. So why do I call it the Hercules mom? Because this mother, what area of the brain did she activate? The amygdala. Right? Let me draw it. Let me draw it here, right? So you understand. Okay, so here's the brain, right? Here's the brainstem, the cerebellum, right? The visual cortex, right? All this stuff. Okay, so let's say here's the prefrontal cortex, okay? And here's the amygdala. When this happens, the Hercules mom example, the amygdala shuts off the prefrontal cortex, right? So here's the amygdala. Prefrontal cortex, it shuts it off. Negative, right? So I'm explaining to you here, so maybe you'll understand it better, right? So this area of the brain, right here, right, the amygdala, it's sending inhibition to the prefrontal cortex. So this area, through neuronal projections, will shut off this area, right? And what happens when you shut off the prefrontal cortex? Well, remember, the prefrontal cortex is for planning, for rational behavior. I think it's raining. Beautiful. For rational behavior, right? For judging things, for seeing if this is risky or not, right? Inhibiting risky stuff. But at this point, when the child is about to die, the mother cannot risk the death of the child. So what happens? The amygdala, right here, shuts off the prefrontal cortex and takes fully over. And how? Testosterone. Testosterone does that, right? So now the mom picks this up, right? So the exact process, I don't want to go fully into because it's going to take a while, but basically the brain recruits neurons, sends those projections to the muscles, and that's how you get strength. That's how you're able to lift things, right? But it's not using all the power of your muscles. It's using less than half, way less than half. But what happens with the Hercules mom at this type of situation, right? Again, quantum recomposition, right? The brain gets rewired instantly where the mother can pick up this car and free the child, and the child gets saved, right? And it's all happening by testosterone acting on the amygdala. It's unbelievable how cool this is. Okay, so go read about it. I've seen these crazy videos. I've seen a video where it was in Thailand. Literally, the mother was in the back of a motorcycle. You can go look this up on YouTube. And she's holding a child, and the motorcycle hits a car, and the lady falls over with her child, and the child is about to get run over by a truck, and she pulls him away. It's amazing shit. Another video I've seen, a guy, like in Vietnam or one of those countries, he's like working as a mechanic, like fixing a motorcycle. Behind are his kids playing in the street. He doesn't see the kids, but through some instinct, testosterone, he feels it. He turns around, grabs the kids, and does a backflip to save them from the car. Quantum recomposition. So if we can, look, this is what I want you to do. This is what we're doing today. I want you to tap in to quantum recomposition at least a little bit every day. 20 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. If you can tap in to quantum recomposition every day, a little bit, well, I'll show you how to do. Don't worry. You're going to get it all. It's just a process. Imagine what you can achieve in life. Imagine. A lot. So, that's a crazy Hercules mom. Oh my God, I love this stuff. Now, what is the truth about IT? Now we get into some fun stuff, eh? Let's get into some fun. Okay. The low testosterone and the high testosterone. What is the difference? Okay, low testosterone, and I talked a little bit about this. I'm not going to repeat it, but I'll tell you what I mean. Okay. Usually low testosterone men are immature, right? They participate in cults and they get tricked by religion. And I'm not telling you to quit your religion. I'm not telling you to, no, I would never do that, okay? I'm not telling you. If I run out of the water, I'm just going to go to the fridge and get myself a bottle of cold water. So I might take a break, just apologizing in advance. So immature cult-like behavior. So when I was, and again, I'm not telling you to do this, but when I had low testosterone, again, this is way back in the day, I stopped practicing my faith. I grew up Muslim in Ismaili, which is a part of Islam, a very small portion of Islam. I was a Muslim. And I just stopped practicing because I thought, you know what? This is putting cognitive load on my brain. I have low T. This shit didn't help me. Fuck it. So I basically said, this is dumb. I stopped believing in God. I became an atheist. I'll tell you what I am today soon, but this is what happened before, right? I was like, I don't want to belong to this cult. These people are taking advantage of me. This is stupid. But when I was immature, I was all in. I was practicing every day. I'm not saying that immature men practice religion or are religious. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if religion or the cult that you're in, if it's not serving you, then you have to kill it. You have to, I'm not saying kill it, like kill it off your brain. You have to rewire your brain and let it go. Remove it from your soul. Remove it from your mind, okay? So, but immature men keep doing it, right? You're in a cult, they're hurting you, right? You're in some tribe, in some community, they're hurting you. You know they're not giving you any benefit, but you stay and suffer. Now, what is a high testosterone man? I'm sure you've guessed it. It's the mature masculine. Okay? Now, another low testosterone thing is I put the word soft. Now, of course, by soft I mean, yes, a soft dick, right? A guy who can't get his dick up. I used to be that guy. I had porn-induced erectile dysfunction for many, many years. At certain moments in my life, I couldn't even get hard watching porn, no matter how crazy the porn was, no matter what type of dwarf was fucking what type of goat. No, it didn't get that extreme, but you understand, right? It got pretty extreme with what I was watching, right? So these types of soft guys, they watch porn, right? They are also on dating apps, right? Look, I have a very strict opinion on dating apps. I think they are hurting society. I think they're toxic. I prefer that men meet women traditionally. Go talk to her. Meet her in everyday life. Every single girlfriend that I've had in my life, every single relationship that I've had has been cold approach, right? Approaching the girl, straight up. And it wasn't fully cold approach. I was in a certain tribe. It was in my life. It wasn't like at some club, right? Those club dates and none of those turn into relationships. I'm talking about meeting at a co-working space, meeting at a co-living space, meeting at an art gallery, meeting at a yoga studio, meeting at a salsa class, right? In a tribe. That's how I met my girlfriends. And of course, I met my wife at a co-working space here in Mexico, right? And it was amazing, right? It was just straight up, I went and did it. And that's another quantum recomp event, because when I saw her, I went. There was no memory. I fucking went, man. Reflex, testosterone reflex. It was amazing. So the guys who watch, oops, sorry about that. Dating apps, this is toxic. This is low T behavior. Don't do it. Right? Why? Because the high T man competes. Competition. Right? This is a big, big, big part of testosterone. And I believe that in today's society, one of the reasons why men have low T is that they've stopped competing. Right? Porn is easy. Making a dating profile and putting up pictures, this is easy. But dude, when I used to do day game, and I've done it in many, many different countries, right? When I used to do day game, I would see a girl and these are countries where I didn't even speak the language sometimes. I would see a girl in the street, right? She'd be at the grocery store or like just literally in the street. It was such a challenge, such a competition with myself, with my demons inside, to go take that action, but I fucking did it. And I learned so much. My body learned so much. And I'm going to get into somewhere here, but play, man, play. Right? When we do jiu-jitsu, when we do wrestling, right? When you engage in competition, when you run a company, you're competing with other companies, that type of competition, that type of challenge is extremely important for high testosterone. So if you have low testosterone and you have no competition in your life, it's probably a reason, a challenge. That competitive spirit is so important. And I'm going to teach you how to do that today. I'm going to give you the exact protocol for that. Okay. The low testosterone guys are fake, right? They yell. I used to do that. When I was, you watch my previous YouTube videos from 10 years ago, dude, I was yelling. I was not calm. And today I'm very passionate, so some of it might even sound like yelling, but man, you should have seen me way back in the day, right? The high testosterone guy, though, he doesn't yell. What he shows is tough love, right? Tough love. And recently, man, I'll tell you something terrible about this, right? I have friends who are in their 40s, who I've known for 15 years, some of them 15 years. Some of them I've known for 30 years. One guy I know now for 32 years, since I was 12. 11 or 12 I've known him. They're still virgins. They don't have competition in their life. They're on the dating sites, right? They belong to cults. They haven't taken a stand of their own masculinity, right? And I've tried to give them tough love. It doesn't work. Because a high testosterone man has the ability to take tough love. But if you're low T, you usually just listen to the guys who are yelling, unfortunately. There's so many predators right now in the world on platforms like YouTube and other platforms where they are tricking young men by yelling, making them feel terrible, making them feel insecure. And I was one of those kids who got tricked. 12 years ago, I got tricked by the pickup gurus, right? By the drop shipping, how you can make money online gurus. I got tricked by those guys. Even the fitness gurus I got tricked by, right? And I suffered a lot because of that. And I don't want you to do the same. So try to take tough love if you want the high T, okay? And of course, in low testosterone, your prefrontal cortex will shrink. I talked a little bit about that already. And the guys who have high testosterone have big dick energy. And what does that mean? I don't mean some show off, right? I don't mean like, oh, you're the life of the party. When you're in a club, you're like the man. And no. That's not what I mean. Or when you go to a party, you're like the loudest guy. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you're by yourself at home and you're sitting in the morning, you wake up and you contemplate who you are as a man. Do you feel secure? Regardless of how big your dick is, do you have the big dick energy? I talked about this also, right? Rumination, you just hate everybody. That's very low T behavior. The high T, yourself. Instead of hating the world and calling people out, right? Even when I called out Jordan Peterson earlier, I love the guy, right? I'm doing it because I love him. I really want you guys to understand this, right? But I see real hate in the world, right? Real hatred towards the world. But what you need to do as a high T man is look at yourself. Yes, the cliche, right? Be the change, the Gandhi cliche. A lot of people call me Gandhi on Instagram, but this cliche, right? But it's real. Because once you really start pointing the finger at yourself, that you are the problem, your brain wiring is the problem, which is you, your low T is the problem, which is you, that's when you can save your family. That's when you can take control of your life. Like, for example, when I realized that, right? When I realized that I am in control, not only was I able to build the businesses, but I was able to travel the world with my wife. And before I was married, I traveled by myself, and I was able to retire my parents, and now they're very healthy, they're happy. They're living an amazing life because they know that they're in control of their life. Now they're going on vacations. They've traveled to countries I haven't traveled to, which is amazing, man. Amazing. I want that for you and your parents as well. Okay? Spineless. Low testosterone guy is spineless. What do I mean by that? You know these guys, right? They're jumping to different things. Oh, this is a hot topic. Let me go do this now. Oh, here's another hot topic. Let me go do this now. This is a very feminine trait. The shiny object syndrome, right? You see a shiny object and you gravitate towards it. There is no real backbone. Okay, and that's what you see. And the difference and the opposite of that is expert. Right? And I told you already, all the expert stuff I wrote in my black book, that's why I have this black book. Anytime you learn from an expert, not just me, but anybody in life, write it down. This is very important to you, okay? Please. And so for me, during my PhD, I learned from the experts, the MIT, Harvard guys, the McGill guys, right? Nobel Prize winners, I learned from them. Neuroscience. How to make money, I learned from billionaires, people who had actual money, a lot of fucking money. They were naturals at making money, right? Same thing with girls. I learned from the guy who was amazing at girls. I saw the results in front of my eyes. Not because he was good looking, because he wasn't. Not because he was fit, because he wasn't. Because he was just amazing. He knew how to be confident and not give a fuck. So I learned from him. Fitness I also learned, right? And it became easy. So you gotta learn from an expert if you want high testosterone. Okay? Yes, this is very important. If you continue towards the low testosterone path, you will eventually die. And I don't mean physically die. I mean, I pointed out that old man. You will stay that old man. And you're never gonna live, right? Living in today's world, if you're not having fun, if you're not waking up in the morning energized, if you're not sleeping at night praying and being grateful to God before every meal, and if you're not eating amazing meals every day, right? And doing what you love and being curious and captivating at your job or starting your own business so you're not a slave to some douchebag, your boss. If you're not living that life, you're dying. Okay? And you will become irrelevant and you will be ignored, which is a big sin, especially today. Doesn't matter what country you're from, what your background is, you can become free. Okay? And the only way you could do that, I'm sure you guessed it, transformation. Because transformation starts right here. Right here. This guy. Once you transform your brain, this is what testosterone does. It acts on the brain. Testosterone is produced in the fucking brain, in the hypothalamus, right? Didn't show it to you yet. This is something I've taught so many times. Around here, you have the thalamus, and right below you have the hypothalamus. Here's the hypothalamic sulcus. I can probably show it here a little bit better. Yeah, right here, right? You have the hypothalamus, and there's the pituitary gland, right? So these work together and send hormones to the testes, and in the testes, testosterone is created. But the production starts in the brain. Duh, right? So transformation is the key, because if you are not transforming every day, if you are not evolving, if you are not leaving the shit that is not serving you, if you are not accepting the good stuff and bringing back all the old stuff, right? Like this lab coat I brought back, the truth I brought back because this is truth, man. Then you're dying. But how do you get high testosterone and keep it? Good question. You have to go through a rite of passage. Now, rites of passage, oh my God. Everyone is talking about it. Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, right? Hero with 1,000 Faces. We have Star Wars, all that Hero's Journey stuff in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. I mean, the Hero's Journey is everywhere, right? This rites of passage, right? Circumcision happens in certain religions as a rite of passage, right? The bar mitzvah, the rite of passage, right? Some Native American, some tribal groups, they make the man jump from a cliff on like a big nail, and like his eye ends up here, and then like crazy shit, right? Rites of passage is big in masculinity. So these are the rites of passage that I've gone through, that my clients have gone through. Everyone has gone through this. So you also have to go through it. Now, you may be at a certain point here, and no matter where you are in this rite of passage, you are welcome. And it's okay. You don't have to start at the beginning or at the end. You could be anywhere. And you can still maintain and increase your testosterone and have high testosterone, okay? So how do you start? Kill your past. The first stage, right? Kill your past. I'm sure you know what that means, right? Jordan Peterson says deadwood. He calls it deadwood, right? You have to let go of everything in your past that has hurt you. It's not easy because of our ego, but you got to do it. Second stage is play the game. Everyone has to play the game. I don't give a shit, man. If you don't go out there and learn what you're good at, if you don't go out there and date a bunch of girls, talk to a bunch of girls, okay, you can get arranged marriage, fine. That's one path of masculinity, fine. But I'm talking about the path that I know, that my clients know, and we know this works. If you want to go through the different phases of masculinity and feel that high testosterone and get to that having it all level, then you got to play the game. You got to go out there, you got to try different things, see what you're good at, see what you're bad at, do the rough and tumble play, again, testosterone activated, to learn the borders of what's good, what's bad, what can I do? Because if you just get arranged marriage and you're, in bed with the one girl that you've ever slept with, I don't know if that's going to be the amazing life that you want. It would not be the life that I want, because I would always have this doubt about myself. So I'm just telling you my perspective, okay? You got to play the game. You got to go out there, explore, play, date different girls, see what you like, see what you don't like, see where you really suck, and then fix it, right? Try different things you're good at, see where you can make money, right? Like, you got to be able to think to make money, right? So you have to put yourself in different situations, learn the neural patterns. I mean, of course, I'm going to teach you a lot of it here too, but you got to take that action in your life, okay? And then you will discover your gift, whatever that is. And I really hope you do. Then you go do. And with that gift, you have to have insane faith. Bro, I was $250K in debt. I'm not over-exaggerating. $250K in debt. I was paying my student loans interest $4K per month with the credit card, maxed out credit cards and all that, and I still went to Vegas. I knew my gift. I knew my gift. I felt the gift. I went. I had insane faith in myself, insane faith. And then you got to immerse in darkness, right? I wrote this down here. I quit businesses multiple times. I failed in many businesses. Of course, I had erectile dysfunction. I was in debt. So once I had the faith, I immersed myself in very, very dark moments in my life because of the faith. I knew I was going to come out on top, and I did. And then one day, you will get a chance of love. A lot of guys miss this. They're in darkness, they stay in darkness. They're in go, aggressive, assertive, gangster, violent, and they stay there. They never accept love. So that's the step. Then you will bring back the good, right? Once I accepted love in my life, I brought back the neuroscience. I brought back the Farhan from the fundamental Farhan. I brought him back, right? If you watch my old YouTube videos, man, I was aggressive. I was so, there was so much criminality. There was so much thug in me. I was just screaming and yelling. I was a guru. It was terrible. And that stuff I didn't bring back because I don't want to, but I brought back the truth, which is science and neuroscience specifically. And now with testosterone and neuroscience, we're unstoppable. And then you save your family. Once you bring back the good, you integrate. That's when I was able to retire my parents, and now they're very healthy and having fun and traveling the world and whatnot. And then Once you save your family, I believe you have it all. And it's not just your parents, but you also save your own family, your kids, your wife, the community around you. That's the passage, right? This is the passage that I know all the men that I've coached and myself we've gone through. And then there is another thing after that. And this thing is saving everyone else. Once you have it all, once you achieved everything you want in life, you pass it on to others. And this is what I'm doing now. I want to reach millions and millions of men with this, so I can help everyone's family like I help my own. Okay? This, and there's only one way to do this. What is that way? So again, quantum recomposition. You remember this, right? Fast-acting testosterone, right? You achieve that neural quantum growth. This is the process. How do you do it? You need to be in an environment. You need to be in a tribe. You need to be in a community. Because look, in the 1960s, when the first enrichment neuroplasticity experiments came out for the brain, right? This was Dr. Diamond at Berkeley, and others were working on this. And what they figured out is that in order for the brain to rewire as fast as possible, instantly, right? The recomposition, you need to be in the perfect environment. So this is the physical environment, but it's also the mental environment. So when I tell you these things, it's not just physical. It's also mental, and it starts with the brain. So what are the minimum requirements for instant high testosterone? Competition for status. You have, in your mind, you have to understand that when you are trying to get the right girl, there's guys after her. Right? That song, Steal Your Girl, I think it's by One Direction. I've been hearing it recently. It's a really good song, right? They're going to try to steal your girl. There's guys out there after her. That's the competition, right? For status. The dominance hierarchy, as it's been called. So you got to compete. Confidence in social situations, again, testosterone dependent. Do not go through life introverted and shy. Don't do that. I don't care what your Myers-Briggs or your big 5 personality, I don't give a shit. Your openness and your you're extroverted or introverted, I don't care. You have to figure out a way to be competent in social situations, and high testosterone will do that for you. Okay? Challenge to reach your potential. Reaching your potential is what you should strive for. Every single day, this is my dream. I want to reach my potential. Okay? Take smart risks, not dumb risks, right? Express your true emotions, and yes, also cry. I'll tell you, there's a moment in my life where I think I didn't cry for I don't know exactly, but decades. I didn't cry a single time. But now, because I've opened up emotionally and I'm at a stage in my life where I don't give a shit what other people think, I can express myself how I want. I cry while I'm listening to songs. I cry when I'm watching movies. Dude, I was reading a paper recently. I'm not kidding. I was reading a paper recently on circumcision and how that impacts people, if it gets botched and stuff, and how terrible that is for kids and trauma and building up, this traumatic memories. I cried while I was reading that scientific paper. It touches me, man. And that emotion is very important to get out, to let out. Kill bad habits, of course, porn and social media addiction and cigarettes and alcohol. This is all stupid. It's so stupid. A weed, as an adult, you're addicted to weed. What are you, a 12-year-old? You're playing video games in your 40s? Are you a fucking kid? What the fuck are you doing? You're playing sports games? Go play sports in real life. You're at the arcades as an adult? You're drinking beer and watching football as an adult? This is stupid. It's so stupid. You're never going to get the good life this way. This is so dumb. Become a mature masculine. I talked about that. Motivation at every stage. Yeah, this is important, right? You want an environment. See, most environments, they're very niched, right? They're only for this group of people. And everyone else go to hell. No. You need to be in an environment which supports all the stages, because once you advance from one stage to the next, you want the same group of guys to help you because they know you. You want the same environment in the brain and in the physical world because they know who you are. Okay, so very important. Inspire you to take action. Now, how does that happen? Monkey see, monkey do, right? The old trick. Mirror neurons. I'm not going to go into mirror neurons here, but you go read about that. Go do your own research too. Don't just believe everything I'm saying. Go do your own research, okay? Go learn shit. So, you want to be in an environment where you are constantly motivated to do shit. Because thinking doesn't rewire the brain. No. Feeling doesn't rewire the brain. No. Maybe a little bit. Action, physical action rewires the brain. Quantum recomposition. Remember, okay? Give you tough love. You want them to give you tough love, of course. And I'll give you this really cool example. So there was a study I read recently, fucking crazy science paper. It's like from 2005 or something, a long time ago. And they found out that there was a bunch of monkeys trying to gain social status in their tribe, in their troop. And because the alpha male died, right? So now everyone is like striving to gain testosterone. So they measure, or to gain social status. So they measure everyone's testosterone, baseline testosterone. And then, right, the alpha male died, and now they're seeing what the hell happens. The guy who became the alpha, his testosterone increased by 10 times. You're talking about doubling testosterone? 10x testosterone in this monkey. And the guy who was at the lowest, his testosterone became 10% of what it was at baseline. It's not a joke, bro. Tough love, and you win every day. You have to win every day. The winner effect. The winner effect. That's how Mike Tyson became a champion. After he raped that 13-year-old girl, came back, his manager was a Don King with the afro. Don King put him in easy fights. So he won. And then he won. And he felt good. He had a guy next to him and he always like, "You're the man, Mike. You're the man, Mike." Don King paid some guy just to walk around Mike Tyson and say, "You're the man, Mike. You're the man, Mike." That's the winner effect. You want to keep winning. Okay? Man, it's becoming dark here. It's a great masterclass, huh? Hope you're having fun. The next one is my favorite slide. You're going to love this, man. I can't wait. Because next, I'm going to show you how I doubled my T naturally. So back in 2013, okay, so I was in Vegas, right? I had the physical environment. I didn't need a virtual environment. I didn't need any Facebook group or Instagram group or YouTube forums and all these online forums. I didn't need any of that. I had the physical environment, so I was good. But when I left Vegas and I started traveling the world, right, building businesses and doing a lot of game and approaching girls and in real life, right, in physical environment all over the world, I realized that I didn't have a tribe anywhere. Because I would go to a place, I would live there for a couple of months, then I would leave. Then a couple of months and then I would leave. So I never had the same group of guys inspiring me and me inspiring them. I needed this tribe like I had in Vegas, right? I had to replicate that tribe with very successful men who have a lot of money, is super rich, super wealthy, and have a great education. They follow science. They believe in science. They want things that are science-backed, not just guru stuff. They're confident with women. They are fit, right? I wanted men like that to encourage me. So I started an online community. I started a Facebook group way back in the day, in 2014. And then that Facebook group kept evolving. And guys started coming in who were at different stages. They were at the stage that I was at. So I started helping them. And then other guys in the group started helping them as well. I had 4 full-time coaches working for me, and I still do. They're still there. So they started helping these guys. And then we recruited more coaches, right? And lo and behold, we had thousands of men in this group, and we were helping each other. And what they told me is that they wanted even a faster way to increase testosterone. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So I went in immersion. I dived deeply for a couple of years. And I learned everything I could about food, spices, herbs, supplements, right? Different Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine. I learned all of this stuff. Just immersed myself in the papers and in the books, textbooks, papers, talked to all the experts and had phone calls with different people, Malaysian people, Chinese people, Indian people, Indonesian people. I went all over the world, right, to talk to these guys and visit their facilities. And I myself, even though I was on my path to increasing testosterone, I wanted to double it. Remember, right? I was doing good, right? I was Doc Testosterone, I was increasing testosterone, but I wanted to double it. And I wanted to not just double my total testosterone, I wanted to double my free testosterone and my bioavailable testosterone. And I wanted to increase it to a level where it becomes high. And I did that. And I'm going to tell you in the next slide, and I'm going to introduce you to my community. So you can join my community and also get all the benefits that all the members have gotten, okay? And the name of my community is called Ph.D. And I'm very excited to show you today the 100% natural herbal supplement that I created in 2018, okay? The concept of it, the formula of it, it took me a couple of years, and I've talked a lot about this in other videos, so I'm not going to go into the details, but this is Ph.D. that I formulated. It took me a couple of years to come up with the formula, to do all the tests and talk to all the beautiful suppliers in the world, and I came up with this. So we have a community today, okay? And let me tell you about our community so you understand how amazing this is and what a big impact it has on my life, okay? So let's start. Ph.D. inculcates and engrosses itself, right? Immerses itself into what testosterone really means. And that is the quantum, right? The quantum recomposition, this pathway that I told you about, right? Big prefrontal cortex, big amygdala, right? And you want to be in that adult, that mature masculine phase. So that's what Ph.D. does. This is what our community does. And for us, testosterone, you can enter this world at any stage, at any phase of life. This is the beauty of Ph.D. So we have members who come in with very low testosterone. We even have members who've been on TRT for many, many years, and they want to stop TRT and do something natural, so they enter our community. We have guys who are already fit and already have good testosterone, but they want to get to the next level of their life and achieve their big dream life. So they also come in, right? So this is what testosterone really means. You want to go to the quantum level every single day. You want to tap into that brain circuit and get that quantum recomposition. We have 100,000 plus members today. That's how many customers we have. And what's cool about Ph.D. is that we don't do ads. haven't done ads in a very long time, but the customers keep coming because they tell their friends and they tell their colleagues, they tell their family members, and they just keep coming in and they keep buying because it works so well. And how do we know it works so well? We have results. Me and my co-founder, Imran, right? When we founded Afro-D, our goal was to be different from everyone else because all the other testosterone products, they say things, they claim, but there's no proof. But we ask our customers to do before and after blood tests with Afro-D so we can measure how much their testosterone increases. And it's not just the number that matters. We also see how their life changes in terms of wealth, relationships, their health, their confidence. All of that is tracked in our Afro-D community, right? So we have blood work. You can go look that up. There's many reviews. You can go read the reviews. There's thousands of them, right? You can look at actual blood test results of our clients. Of course, the names have been blurred out, but you can see these results before and after Afro-D. You can read their reviews. You can see their before and after photos. You can see even the physical transformation, right? And of course, mine went from 376 to 801. I doubled my testosterone using Afro-D. My bioavailable testosterone, I also doubled. My free testosterone, I also doubled. If you don't know these terms, I've already made YouTube videos about this. Go watch it, okay? And then, today, what I see in masculinity is that men are stuck in their ego. They don't want to kill the bad stuff. They don't want to bring back the good stuff, right? They're just stuck, right? They're in echo chambers. What does that mean? They get stuck in these very cult-like belief systems, and they're not even aware that they're stuck. They're in safe mode, right? Not taking action, not competing, not fighting for their status. They're just stuck and safe and just dying slowly. And death. Okay, now how do we empower our members? Curiosity. It's a very childlike trait, but if you have it as an adult, you're unstoppable. Curious, play the game. What's out there? What can you achieve? What is possible? Creativity. Create companies. Create relationships. Create wealth. Create confidence. Create rewiring in the brain. And right here, life evolution. We got to keep evolving, man. We got to keep evolving in life. Please remember this. So, if you want to join, you simply go to afrod.com, go to our official website, go read the reviews. There's a bunch of YouTube reviews as well. If you type Afro-D reviews on YouTube, you get a bunch of our customers who've reviewed us. All the reviews are real. We haven't paid a single person ever. We don't do that stuff. Everything is the audit trial, audit trail is there. My business partner is very strict, so like everything is, we just want to make sure that we get audited one day. Hey, all the reviews are real. Here you go, right? No risks taken. I know recently one of the gurus has gotten caught by the SEC for fraud and Ponzi scheme shit, and this is going to happen more and more. You'll see, especially with this crypto stuff. It's going to be nutty. With AI and all this bubble stuff is going to happen. But yeah, that's what I want to tell you. So you can also click on the description below the YouTube video to join our community and go please learn more, go do your research. And to end this, I just want to say that during the day as I'm living life, right? As I'm eating the beautiful meals, when I watch shows with my wife, when we go for walks outside in nature, when I read, like last night I was reading the Stephen Hawking book. I have this bookshelf here with all the books that we read. when we travel the world and explore different cultures and different languages and different restaurants, when I look back at my life, right, the hustle, the crazy journey, the crazy phases of life that I've been through, when I just look back, those 12 years of life, the treachery and the depression and the darkness that I went through, I don't think you have to go through that. If you want to, you can go through it. But I think if I've already done the work, right? If I've already done all the hardships and I've already written it all down and I'm already teaching all of this to you guys, right? Like if I've already figured this guy out, and of course there's a lot more to learn, I'm learning every day. I'm reading like 50 papers a day nowadays, right? Just to learn more and more stuff about the brain. And it's so interesting, man. The shit that is coming out about the brain and testosterone and about quantum recomposition, it's unbelievably cool. How to rewire the brain, it's so cool. So yeah, just wanted to say that I want you to get this life. I want you to experience what I'm experiencing. And I will continue to make these videos for you, right? For free. And if you have any questions, if I didn't explain something right, you want to learn more about something, you're curious about something, please comment and let me know. And share this with the world. My goal and my business partner's goal is to reach millions of men and affect and influence and benefit millions of families in the world. All right? So I'm super happy that I told you about Afro-D because this community has changed my life. Every time I had hardship, even when I broke up with my girlfriends in the past and I was depressed, I remember in Toronto, I flew from Sweden, I broke up with my girlfriend, then it was terrible. I went to Toronto, I called up some of the guys in the community, they talked to me. So much love and motivation and inspiration there is in the community. It's like nothing else online. So I've gotten a lot of benefit from it. We've had really interesting challenges that have been put up that all of us have done to take action and increase our competence. Lots of competitions. It's just amazing inspiration every single day so we can win every single day. All right? So I'm grateful to you for listening. Go out there and take action and really, really I want you to get your dream life. All right? I'll see you next time.